Fantasy Football Now. I'm your host Tyler, along with Cal and Kyle. We're talking about fantasy. Big boards are starting up. Drafts are starting up all around the nation, and we talk about rookies and veterans for the big boards. Cal, what does your big board look like for the rookies coming into the league this
For
year?
rookies, from 10 to 1, I've got Ike Holler from Philadelphia. I think he'll get some good throws too this year. Dorsett in Indianapolis because he's a speedy guy. I think that's what Andrew Luck's going to be looking for. Rashad Perriman comes after that, followed by Marcus Mariota, who I feel like could be higher up this list if the Titans weren't so shaky when it comes to the wide receiver position. Then you've got Kevin White. I feel like Kevin White is better than Devontae Parker, who I have at 4, but Devontae Parker has the better quarterback. Jameis Winston at 4, Amari Cooper at 3, Melvin Gordon at 2, and Todd Gurley at the 1 spot.
What about you, Kyle?
Well, number 1, I have Melvin Gordon. He's going to be stepping in and probably be the starting running back for the San Diego Chargers this year. So I think he'll get the most opportunities. My second is Amari Cooper. Derek Carr was good last year, but he didn't have that one go-to target on offense. So I think him and Cooper will have a great connection early on. 3, Amir Abdullah for the same reason as Melvin Gordon. Amir Abdullah is going to be able to get a lot of playing time this year as he's replacing Reggie Bush and probably going to be either the feature back or he's going to get a lot of different carries. At number 4, I have Jameis Winston. But aside from all the off-the-field problems with Jameis Winston, I think he's a really good quarterback, and he's gonna be the starter over Mike Glennon. So I think he'll be one of the only rookie quarterbacks to have a good starting season. And then number 5, I have Max Williams from the Baltimore Ravens. He was drafted in the 2nd round, and with Dennis Pitta's injury history, I think he's gonna be one of the fantasy pickups for tight ends because he's just a pure pass catcher. And then at 6, I have Kevin White. He was probably the most natural wide receiver in this class. At 7, I have Devontae Parker. He's gonna play a big role in Miami's passing offense. 8, Tevin Coleman for Atlanta. He's another running back who's gonna have a great chance to start and see the field. 9, I have Perriman. I think he's gonna be the perfect deep ball threat for Joe Flacco. And at 10, I have Aguilar. He's basically the best wide receiver on the Eagles right now. So he's going to get a lot of catches from Sam Bradford.
I got 10, Amir Abdullah. I've been playing off of Joique Bell. I think he's going to get some reps, and I think that has a very, very good offensive line that's able to help a guy, rushing fast guy like Amir Abdullah is. Tevin Coleman, number 9 in Atlanta, again playing in that 2-back set. Very similar to Amir Abdullah. I think he can get a lot of reps. Rashad Perriman at 8, Flacco likes throwing deep. Perriman's good at that, catching those. Perfect combination. 7, Nelson Aguilar. You don't have a really good quarterback situation in Philly, but someone's going to be able to throw to Aguilar. 6, you have Kevin White. Again, not a very good quarterback situation, but White's a great big target. He basically is Brandon Marshall, which the Bears lost, and I feel like he's going to do really well. 5, Devontae Parker. I have him higher up this list than normal because I feel like Ryan Tannehill is one of the most underrated quarterbacks and playing in I think a really good wide receiver core, along with Brian Hartline and Jordan Cameron at the tight end slot. I think Miami's going to do well with Devontae Parker. Number 4, Amari Cooper from Oakland. Derek Carr. I really like Derek Carr. I think he's a great quarterback. Perfect fit. Number 3, Marcus Mariota, Tennessee. Doesn't have all the great wide receivers, able to carry on plays with his legs, and I think that's going to help him in the long run. 2, Melvin Gordon from San Diego. And 1, Todd Gurley from St. Louis, both for the same reason. They're going to be starters. They're going to get a lot of reps. But enough about the young guys. Let's go to the vets. What's your vet on big board?
I had it from 10 to 1. Jimmy Graham, I feel like is going to get a lot of throws from Russell Wilson in Seattle, and I feel like he's really going to help out that Seahawks offense. Aaron Rodgers comes in at 9. He's starting to get up there in age, but I still feel like he'll be able to carry the Packers. 8, I've got Rob Gronkowski. He's going to be missing out on Tom Brady for those first 4 games, but I still feel like Gronk is going to be a big weapon for the Patriots. 7, I have Dez Bryant. I feel like he had a great year last year. I feel like he's one of the best wide receivers in the game, and I feel like Dez Bryant is going to get a lot of throws too. 6, I have Antonio Brown because of the year Ben Roethlisberger had last year, and I feel like Antonio Brown was his main target other than Bryant, and I feel like Brown is going to really have a huge year this year. 5 is T.Y. Hilton for obvious reasons. He's a really good wideout, very young, gets a lot of throws from Andrew Luck. 4, Jamal Charles, because I feel like Jamal Charles really had a good year last year. I should have picked him last year with my first pick. Instead, I went with LaShawn McCoy. I don't know why. It was just a bad pick for me. 3, Le'Veon Bell, I feel like is the best running back in the league. Despite the offense that the Steelers have, I feel like he will get a lot of carries. 2, I feel like Calvin Johnson will have a bounce back year. In Detroit, I feel like Matt Stafford has a good year for him. That Calvin Johnson stays healthy, he'll be good. And then 1, I have Andrew Luck simply because of the yardage he had last year, and I feel like he will be able to carry the Colts not just to the playoffs, but possibly to the Super Bowl.
What about you, Cal?
10, I have Rob Gronkowski. He's the best tight end in football, and it's not even close. 9, I have Odell Beckham Jr. I think he'll be as good as last year, but he won't have the crazy yardage and touchdowns because of the quarterback he's playing with. At 8, I have Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, last year was by far Ben's best statistical season. I don't think he's going to replicate that. I think they're going to run the ball more this year. At 7, I have Andrew Luck. He's going to give you a lot of touchdowns, but then his interceptions are going to kill you in the end. He threw 18 last year, and with still no running game besides Frank Gore, I think he's still going to have in that 18 interception ratio. At 6, I have beast mode, Marshawn Lynch, the best runner in football. He's not the best complete running back, but I think he's the best runner in football. And with him being the focal point of the Seahawks offense, you're going to get a lot of rushing touchdowns if Pete Carroll decides to run the ball in goal line situations. 5, I have Le'Veon Bell, who I think is the best running back in football. Last year, he had he was a great catcher, great blocker, great runner. Dez, number 4, he's a really good wide receiver, and he helps Tony Romo on some bailout catches. 3, I have Demaryius Thomas. He's playing in the offense with Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was injured last year, and that hampered his play, but I expect Demaryius to pick off right where he left off. Jamal Charles, he's one of the best catching running backs in football. And then number 1, he returns to the spot, Adrian Peterson. After a year away from football, I think Adrian Peterson is going to reclaim his spot as the best running back in football.
Watch that Madden curse with Odell Beckham, though. Just a warning.
I got number 10, Antonio Brown. Like I said, Ben had a great year, and I think this could be way higher up the list. But Martavis Bryant, I think, could break out, so it makes bad for Antonio Brown. Number 9, Matt Forte. I mean, you don't have a quarterback really in Chicago, so they're going to rely a lot on their running game, and Forte's there. 8, C.J. Anderson, one that was not on either one of those lists, playing in Denver. Manning is getting up there in age, so running game is going to be important. I think Anderson's a really underrated running back. Eddie Lacy, number 7 for Green Bay. Probably the best offense in the league, and he's a big portion of that. So able to get out in passing games as well. Number 6, Gronk, best tight end in the league by far. No matter what quarterback you're going to have, you're going to get it to him. 5, Jamal Charles. He's a speed back. The only thing that concerns me is his injuries. Number 4, Jordy Nelson, a focal point. Besides Aaron Rodgers, of course, he's the best wide receiver on the Packers by far, and I think the best wide receiver for fantasy in the entire league. Number 3, Le'Veon Bell, best running back in the league, best running back for fantasy in the league, enough said. Number 2, Aaron Rodgers. Probably the best dual threat quarterback in the league, maybe bar number 1 on my list, which is number 1, Andrew Luck. I think he's quite possibly the best quarterback in the league right now, and I feel like he might have the best year of any quarterback next year. And one quick thing, we have sleepers and busts. Always 2 things that you're able to say. Who's your sleepers and who's your busts?
My sleeper right now would be Kelvin Benjamin. He's the number 1 wideout over in Carolina. He had 1,000 yards last season. He had 9 touchdowns. He's really the threat in the end zone based on how big he is. I feel like he's going to have an even bigger year in Carolina. And I feel like my bust is Colin Kaepernick. He just didn't do enough last year to impress me. I feel like he's still a good quarterback, but too many picks last year. I don't know.
What about you?
My sleeper is Teddy Bridgewater of the Minnesota Vikings. Last year, he played really good despite dealing with no running game, bad offensive line, and decent weapons on offense. So I think with the new additions to his offense, he's going to be able to take the next step. And bust, I'm going to stay on the Minnesota Vikings with Cordell Patterson. He's supposed to be this playmaker because of his speed and athleticism, but he just hasn't shown it since he's been in the league. So I would stay away from him.
I alluded to it earlier, my sleeper, Ryan Tannehill. I think he has a great wide receiving core, great receiving core right now, and I feel like he's a really underrated quarterback, so I think he's going to be a really good, if not starter for you in fantasy, a really good backup. And my bust, I have something written down here. It's DeMarco Murray, going from Dallas, who had the best offensive line in the league, to Philadelphia, who has a fast-paced offensive line, which offensive linemen pretty much do not like because they're not able to get back to the offensive line fast enough. Not very good for running backs. LaShawn McCoy, yes, he did well there. but probably going
He
to
should.
thrive more in Buffalo now than Murray, I think, will. And that's going to be the end to fantasy football now, along with Cal and Kyle. I'm Tyler. Good night. Thank you.